Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and it's good to see you all here today. So, we've been discussing the platform Sutra, which concerns the life and teachings of Huineng. Um, and uh, at our last episode, we left the Huineng traveling south with the robe and Dharma, the robe and sort of certification of his teacher, Hong Zhen. And Wei Neng, as we learned previously, was a illiterate young lay person who had been working at the monastery pulling rice. So this was highly extraordinary. And as the story unfolds, there are different versions of it, but when word got out that this had happened, that the robe and Dharma had been granted to this illiterate young uh, layperson, there was, I guess, various motions among the monastics, among the various monks. This was highly extraordinary, and as the story is told, um, there are 100 monks who take out after him, and uh, uh, but the road south, the way south is difficult, mountainous, treacherous, and most of them, in fact, all but one, give up and turn back. And the one who doesn't turn back is a monk who was a former high-ranking general. And so he's, kind of a worldly tough guy. And he catches up with Wei Neng, and Wei Neng faces him, and the general's the monk general sort of demands uh, the Dharma. And in some version it says demands the robe and the Dharma. But in any case, Wei Neng freely offers him the robe and says, "Oh, you take it if it means so much to you." Um, but this monk doesn't really want the title, doesn't want the robe, doesn't want the accoutrements of power, just wants the teachings. So Huineng proceeds to instruct him in the Dharma based on the Diamond Sutra. So that monk then is satisfied and returns to the monastery, and Huineng continues on his way, um, and ultimately founds a monastery. Well, he ultimately becomes a teacher of his own, in his own right, and with many followers. But in any case, that's where we are in the story right now. He's just um, instructed this monk who pursued him in the Dharma. So I'd like to read a little section that follows this. And we're kind of jumping ahead to when Wei Neng does become a teacher, because the way this whole uh, uh, sutra started was that he was taking his seat to instruct a crowd of monastics and lay people and various sorts of individuals. And now he's coming back to his teaching. after telling a little bit about his story. And he starts out in this way, most alarmingly, perhaps. Huineng then yelled out, "Good friends, you already possess the prajna wisdom of enlightenment. You already possess the prajna wisdom of enlightenment. But because your minds are deluded, you can't understand by yourselves. You need to find a truly good friend to show you the way to see your nature. Good friends, Buddha nature isn't different for the ignorant and the wise. It's just that people are deluded or awake. When people are deluded, they're ignorant. When they wake up, they become wise. Good friends, he says, this Dharma teaching of mine is based on meditation and wisdom. But don't make the mistake of thinking that meditation and wisdom are separate. Meditation and wisdom are of one essence, not two. Meditation is the body of wisdom, and wisdom is the function of meditation. Wherever you find wisdom, you find meditation, and wherever you find meditation, you find wisdom. Good friends, this means, what this means is that meditation and wisdom are the same. Fellow students of the way, be careful. Don't think that meditation comes first and then gives rise to wisdom, or that wisdom comes first and then gives rise to meditation, or that meditation and wisdom are separate. For those who hold such views, the Dharma is dualistic. If the mouth speaks of goodness, but the mind doesn't think of goodness, meditation and wisdom aren't the same. But if goodness pervades both the mouth and the mind, if what is external and internal are alike, then meditation and wisdom are the same. The cultivation of self-awareness does not involve argument. People who argue about which comes first and which comes second only confuse themselves. Unless you put an end to right and wrong, you will give rise to self-existent dharmas, and you will never be free of the four states. One practice samadhi means at all times, whether walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, always practicing with a straightforward mind. The Vimalakirti Sutra says a straightforward mind is the place of enlightenment, and a straightforward mind is the Pure Land. Don't practice hypocrisy with your mind while you talk about being straightforward with your mouth. If you speak with one practice samadhi with your mouth, but you don't practice with a straightforward mind, you're no disciple of the Buddha. Simply practice with a straightforward mind and don't become attached to any dharma. This is what is meant by one practice samadhi. Now, when dharma is used in that sentence, it's a small d dharma, which indicates an object of human experience, an object of what we might call the mind, whether it's a thought or a table or a chair, or whatever, or a sound. So dharma is used in two different ways, and it's confusing. But that's small d mind. So he says, don't become attached to any small d dharma. This is what is meant by one practice samadhi. Deluded people who cling to the external attributes of a dharma, small d, get hold of one practice samadhi and just say that sitting motionless, eliminating delusions and not thinking thoughts is one practice samadhi. But if that were true, a dharma would be like a dharma like that would be the same as lifelessness and would constitute an obstruction of the way instead. The way has to flow freely. Why block it up? The way flows freely when the mind doesn't dwell on any dharma, small d dharma. Once it dwells on something, it becomes bound. If sitting motionless were right, Vimalakirti wouldn't have criticized Shariputra for meditating in the forest. And it's frequently in the platform sutra, Huineng, Huineng rather, um, refers to the Vimalakirti Sutra, which is notable because Vimalakirti was also a lay person. And the popularity of the Platform Sutra and the Vimalakirti Sutra in East Asia indicates a direction or a trajectory toward expanding Buddhism outside the walls of a monastery and having it practiced by everyone, universally, lay people and monastics alike. So I'd like to just discuss this a little bit, throw out some thoughts for your consideration. So Wei Ning starts this with sort of a hook. He's getting everybody's attention. He's saying, good friends, you already possess the prajna wisdom of enlightenment. And that this would surprise everyone because the usual notion is that, oh, prajna wisdom, that's something that's difficult. That's something that takes a long time. That's something that takes lifetimes of practice. That's something that you have to sit and sit and sit and sit in order to achieve. So he's saying, you already possess it, relax. But then he goes on, of course, and emphasizes that meditation should not be separated from wisdom. That meditation itself is wisdom. Now, this is taken up by subsequent teachers, particularly Dogen, the 13th century Japanese teacher, when he says, Zazen is not learning to concentrate. It is the Dharma gate of great ease and joy. It is undefiled practice enlightenment. And he uses practice enlightenment as a compound frequently in his writings, as if they are essentially one and the same, or both are intimate with one another. But then Huineng goes on to refine what he means by meditation and dispels the notion that meditation involves just sitting perfectly still, having no thoughts. He likens this to being lifeless, like a rock, like a stone, like a dead tree. Instead, meditation involves becoming intimate with this human experience. And by stilling the body to the extent that we can, obviously we're never still, we're always circulating blood and breathing and swaying back and forth a little bit to maintain balance or whatever, blinking. But stilling the body to a certain extent allows one to become intimate with mind, this human experience in Chinese called Shin, or heart mind, not just the thoughts that we have, but also the emotions, the feelings, becoming intimate with them. And he has a little aside about this doesn't involve, wisdom doesn't involve argument, talking, arguing about terms or saying this comes first, that comes second. That is a statement that tends to reinforce the notion that wisdom is somehow before words or beyond words or outside of language, but includes language. Beyond argumentation, that it's something that precedes these concepts and thoughts that we have. And he talks about one practice, samadhi. Now, samadhi is a word in Sanskrit that comes from the roots to gather together. There's sam or sama, sam, which means together, and adi, which means to gather or to put together, to collect the mind, to unify the mind. But he emphasizes that the most important part of this one practice, samadhi, is not just sitting in meditation. It means at all times, whether walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, always practicing with a straightforward mind. So the practice is not confined to the time of meditation. We all know this. But the practice includes everything we do. It's all practice. Walking, standing, sitting, and lying down is sort of code for everything we do. And practicing with a straightforward mind. Now, the Chinese word that straightforward is translated from is ji, ji. And it can be translated as straightforward, honest, sincere, even frank. There's not deceitful, not duplicitous, not thinking one thing and doing another, but straightforward. In the Russian novel, The Brothers Karamazov, there's Father Zozina, who's an abbot, a revered abbot at a Russian Orthodox church, and people come to him for advice. And in one passage, there is this elder, the elder Karamazov comes for advice, and the elder Karamazov is a a remarkable buffoon and just carries on, talks endlessly, and says all kinds of outrageous things. And Father Zozina has advice for him at the end, a very concise advice, which says the most important thing is don't lie. And most importantly, don't lie to yourself. And interestingly, he gives the same advice to a wealthy woman who is very histrionic, who comes to see him. And he says simply, don't lie. Don't lie to yourself. So I think sitting meditation, zazen, gives us an opportunity when we aren't drawn to all kinds of other things to be honest, sincere, to look without embellishment at our thoughts and feelings as they arise and pass away, without sort of grabbing one or getting tied up in one, being captured by any particular thing, but just observing what it is. What is this? And then he concludes by talking about that, not getting caught up as we practice. And not only when we're practicing meditation, sitting meditation, but also throughout the day, not getting caught up, not getting stuck in our thoughts, feelings, but seeing them for what they are and moving ahead. Because the wisdom that Huineng is talking about is not static. It's not something that can even be explicitly stated in words, although words can point to it. It's something that involves movement. It's dynamic. It's something that is made to be used in our lives, no matter what we're doing. So he says the way flows freely when the mind doesn't dwell on any particular phenomena. So I think clearly there are times when we focus our attention and we do want to focus on a particular phenomena. If we're doing a task, we want to focus on that task. But concurrently, human experience is such that the mind darts here and there, even when we're doing a task. And he encourages us to not get carried away or captured by these random thoughts and feelings that arise, but to see them for what they are, to see them straightforwardly. This avoidance of capture is something Uchiyama refers to as opening the hand of thought, as opposed of the grasping fist. So I think I'll stop there, and I guess leave you with the question of what do you think Huineng is trying to tell us in this passage? What is one practice samadhi? And do we, in fact, possess prajna wisdom of enlightenment right now? Thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and we'll go into breakout rooms, and I'll return in a few moments.